What's going on, Jerome? So draft day is mercifully nearly upon us, and the Minnesota Vikings have a couple of needs, right? Even though we are team BPA, best player available, there has to be just a twinge of rhyme and reason. Otherwise, you end up with like 7 running backs and 15 right tackles. Who knows? Who knows, man? But your Minnesota Vikings right now, 2 first-round picks, as well as maybe they move up. Who knows? But 7 day 3 selections, none in day 2. But 2 4s, 2 5s, a 6, and 2 7. So the Vikings certainly can get after things. But we're going to go through position by position and rate the positional need by priority. So now, I didn't put a lot of thought in this rating scale because I don't know, should high be blue or should it be red? Well, how come there's no red? And the levels, so we got high priority. We have yes, the Vikings should get after it. Medium, low, whatever. Actually, no. Low is low, and then whatever is whatever. So kind of high priority all the way down to whatever. If it happens, it happens. So we're going to dive in. Oh, we went to all Tony Soprano. So now we're going to zoom in and enhance on the fly. This is a really good pod because we are truly, absolutely friggin' professionals here, or something like that. This is actually funny. Come on. Hey, you get to see the sausage being made. There you go. All right, so we are going to break it down positionally, and then we're going to rank the positional priorities. So first up at quarterback, yeesh. All right, so high priority on quarterback. Even though the Vikings do have Sling and Sam Darnold, obviously looking to the draft to find a quarterback of the future. Now, Sam Darnold, sure, certainly him turning 27 in June, he could be a little something. Then you have Nick Mullins and you have Jaron Hall in the mix as well. But adding that quarterback of the future, and whatever you do, if you make a move up for May, Daniels, McCarthy, go ahead. Or do you stick and pick with Penix, maybe Bo Nix, maybe Rattler, who knows? But either way, that is priority one. And I feel like this is what Kwesi has been building to this entire time, right? The parting of the ways with Kirk Cousins. You already have your team in place, so go get your guy. And also, even if you trade 3 first-round picks to go get your guy and he doesn't play it down because Sam Darnold is actually playing competently, that's fine. I mean, especially, I feel like Daniels would be good to go, but especially May and his footwork as well as McCarthy and his experience, like sitting for a year certainly would not be a terrible thing. All right, so, also, doing this on the fly. I'm so fly. There we go. Next up, running back. Yes. So even though the Vikings did bring in Aaron Jones, you do have Ty Chandler as well. I feel like just adding a power element to the running game would be kind of nice. So looking at Isaiah Guarendo, looking at Braylon Allen, etc., Audric Estime, sure. But it just seems like I'm just missing a little something. Now, are you going to spend Vikings don't have a day 2 selection, but you're going to spend a high draft pick on a running back? Probably not. But remember, Aaron Jones is up there in age, also is on a 1-year deal. Ty Chandler, I would like for him to prove that he's the dude in year 3, but we'll see. Next up, wide receiver, low. Now, it's low, and again, going over a rating. So low, actually, maybe make this one medium, because yes, you do have Justin friggin' Jefferson, which is like the draw for wild in Uno. So you got Jefferson, you got Addison, but who's wide receiver 3? So I like Brandon Powell a lot. I think Jalen Naylor has a ton of potential. N'Keal Harry is also there. Then also off screen, you got guys like Tristan Jackson, Lucky Jackson, etc. Trent Sherfield was brought in as a free agent from Buffalo. I wonder if they would want him back now, given everything that's transpired. Who knows? Sylvie's trying to get on camera. Hey, Sylvie. No, baby. She knocked over my bonsai tree, and I'm really upset about it because it was like a bonsai tree seedling, and it was growing and showing. There you go. Next up, tight end. That's in the whatevs category. So even though Hawkinson is up on blocks for a hot second, I mean, the Vikings, they do have Josh Oliver, who is seen as more of a blocking tight end. They do have Johnny Munt, and they did re-sign Nick Muse. So I think that they're fine in that spot. But, I mean, you do have 7 day 3 selections, so maybe you take a flyer on a guy who falls, specifically a physical freak. Maybe you do take a Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. Maybe you do see if Theo Johnson falls down the draft board a little bit. Absolute physical monster. Maybe they do take a chance on Eric All from Iowa coming off that ACL. So 2 Hawkeyes tight ends on an ACL. It's funny, man. Next up, offensive tackle. So low. Maybe put this on me. Actually, well, since we're Vikings fans. Every single position should be a high priority. But in terms of offensive tackle, so I would like to get the like a young swing developmental tackle, sure. But you do have Darisaw, you do have O'Neal, you do have David Quisenberry, who was very solid last year as a backup, but he's a little bit longer in the tooth. Now, Blake Brandel is penciled in right now as a starting left guard. Brandel could back up either tackle spot. And if you see him as basically the 6th offensive lineman, the utility backup, sure. But I don't know. Like, I guess I'm fine with it being low priority. Next up, guard and center, high. Now, quarterback is quarterback, and almost you want to take that off the table. But guard and center, yes. I mean, the Vikings, if they want to get where they need to be, they need to figure out the interior offensive line. Now, Brandel, they have faith in. And they paid him some decent money as well as a 3-year contract. So they obviously want to keep him under control for the foreseeable future. Now, does he just slide in a left guard, take over for Reisner? It's possible. Bradbury. So it's not the lack of belief in Bradbury. But if the Vikings want to get anywhere, they have to suture up the interior offensive line. They have to make sure that their center isn't getting shot putted into the lap of the quarterback every single time. And they have to be able to get a push up front in the running game. All right. Hopefully Ed Ingram develops in year 3. But with Bradbury, I mean, the main thing is age, as well as he's missed time each of the last 2 years with a correlated back injury. So that does have to factor in. And behind him, I mean, Dan Feeney is fine as a veteran backup, but he's basically Brent Jones. Like, he's basically Chris Reed now. And Croy Kronk, Tyrese Robinson, T-Rob, and Henry Bird were practice squad guys last year, signed a futures contract. So, I don't know. Defensive side of the ball, nose tackle, yes. So, ratings-wise, certainly up there. But the whole thing about it, too, is that during wherever he's gone, like Flores hasn't really had that 350-pound nose tackle. And the fact that he had Kairos Tonga on the roster last year didn't really use him in that way. So maybe he is perfectly fine with a little bit more fluid nose tackles. Now, Phillips, they want to reduce his snaps, and also been saying it since he got here. I would like for him to play more 4-tech, 5-tech as opposed to being a true nose tackle. And Jonah Williams, Jerry Tillery, more defensive ends in this scheme as opposed to nose tackle. So going out and truly finding yourself a damn dude. Maybe that makes some sense. And in terms of true blue nose tackles, Tavondre Sweat, as well as McKinley Jackson, as well as our I can't get past Christian Boyd, as well as Evan Anderson, if they want to go that route. But certainly could benefit from adding some meat in the middle. And also it gets to penetrating defensive tackle. I would put that one as high. And we'll get into the individual rankings a little bit later on. But yes, I will say that penetrating defensive tackle, that 3-tech spot is certainly high. Now, yes, given the way that the Vikings currently line up, I mean, the base 3-4, there isn't really a spot for that penetrating 3-tech, but sub package 2-4 down lineman, yes. And you don't really have a guy, including Jaquelin Roy, who's just going to go into a gap and just completely wreak havoc and cause panic on the offense in terms of pass rush as well as against the run. And defensive tackle, I mean, Byron Murphy, Johnny Newton, definitely both would fill that role. Braden Fisk would be in there as well. I think that Chris Jenkins could be a nice hybrid of a run stuffer as well as a guy that's developing as a pass rusher. But in terms of guys that are just going to come in and just get after it, Michael Hall, Ruka Rororo, Mason Smith certainly there, Dwayne Carter I love a lot. Gabe Hall I think is really being slept on. So the Vikings will have options. Either at the top of the draft or in the mid rounds where they have the glut of their draft picks. Next up, so edge rusher, put that as medium, even though you can never have enough dudes who can get after the quarterback. Defensively, I mean, the Vikings, they did bring in Andrew Van Ginkel as well as Jonathan Kennard to take the sting out of losing Danielle Hunter. Same thing with Jihad Ward. Also, you do have Patrick Jones second in a contract year. Also off screen, you have Andre Carter the second. So hopefully he develops into something in year 2. But like we said, I mean, you never have enough dudes who can get after the quarterback. Off-ball linebacker, I would also put as medium. So you did bring in Blake Cashman outside. How about that? Is a younger version of Jordan Hicks, Ivan Pace Jr. I love Ivan Pace Jr. Let's go. Also, you brought in Kamu as a bit of a backup linebacker. Where the year he started with the Texans, like he had a 20 tackle game, man. That's insane. Also, hopefully Brian Oswald II can step up as well. They did lose Troy Dye, but they should be good to go in that regard. So boundary and slot corner. We'll put high on boundary corner and medium in slot. So medium because you do have Byron Murphy Jr. as well as they list Booth Jr. as a hold on. All right, so Najee Thompson they list here. He's a special teamer, but they do have Jalen Williams, who potentially could get in the mix. Last year's UDFA out of Indiana. Also, I mean, so Florida's defense is weird, where they don't really have, beyond Murph, they don't really have like a true slot corner, but Metellus plays a lot in the slot. Theo Jackson played a lot in the slot as well when he was on the field defensively. So, I mean, Murph is entering a contract year, so sure, could they add a little bit of depth there? Yes. And also outside corner, I would put that as high because even though I do like the Shaq Griffin signing, even though I do love me some Mekhi Blackman, having a true talisman on the outside that can take away other teams' wide receiver ones, don't really have that. Now, yes, it would be great if a Caleb Evans or Andrew Booth Jr. Rose up, but I mean, just adding more talent and adding more bodies and more competition is going to be good for everyone. Next, box and free safety. So I put medium for box safety and low for free safety because medium for box because Harrison Smith probably in his final year, but you do have Josh Metellus. You do have Lewis Seen, and in terms of free safety, you do have Beasley. Jay Ward can play a little bit of both of the safety spots. So the Vikings, I mean, the cupboard is, frankly, the Vikings probably have the deepest safety room in the league. So I think they're going to be relatively good to go there. And again, hopefully Lewis Seen can add something. He's not even on the screen, man. They go too deep here. Come on. Lastly, so kicker and punter. Going to go medium and high. So kicker, they do have John Parker Romo. Punter, I want to believe in Ryan Wright, but I don't know. I just really don't know, man. And then also, I know that this is an oxymoron, but general specialists, so special teams guys, it sucks losing Troy Dye because he was one of the better special teamers in the league and played a very important role for the Vikings. But you do have Kamu coming in, who is OG, one of the best special teamers in the league. Same thing with Dye. So 1-for-1 swap, ain't no problem there. So now finalizing things by rank. So quarterback 1, yes, it is all about the QB this time around, but you can see the merit in sticking and picking. Even though we just put out a video, the Vikings should go all in, go after their guy, just because we haven't had that, but go ahead. Penetrating 3 tech, so Murphy, Johnny Newton, go ahead. Interior offensive line is certainly high. Boundary corner, I would love to have that cornerback 1 on the outside. Woo. In terms of the second tier, yes, a nose tackle. Someone to stuff the run. The Vikings really need to get after it, having the meats up front. Running back. So running back's weird because I feel like every single team just be like, we'll get Pacheco in the 7th round or whatever. Could be that. Honestly, Isaiah Davis, he might go undrafted. I'll just bring him in as a regional UDFA. Come on, man. Medium edge rusher. You can never have enough guys to get the quarterback off ball. I think the Vikings did a great job supplementing that second level in free agency. Box and slot safety. The Vikings have the deepest safety room in the league. And then low priorities. So offensive tackle. Again, I would like a young offensive tackle project. But I think the Vikings can secure that day 3. Free safety, sure. Wide receiver. Actually, may crank up wide receiver, especially since Hawkinson's going to be up on blocks for a hot second. So maybe crank them up. Tight end is whatever. Now, I know that Hawkinson could be dinged up for a while. Oliver's more of a blocking tight end. Johnny Munt is walking in as your receiving tight end. But Hawkinson's going to be fine. And also, yeah, like we said, with all of those day 3 selections, like maybe you do take a shot on a tight end, like 6th, 7th round. But before that, specialist, sure. Punter, I need some competition for Ryan Wright, and also I'll bring in Destroying to compete with John Parker Roma at kicker. But anyways, that's it. I'll take a look at the Vikings draft needs by positional priority. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.